Hello, I'm Sarah Delzell and I'm here today to help you learn how to make chapatis. So here we have an already formed round of chapati dough, and the goal is to make a circular tortilla basically. And the best way to do a circle is by doing a quarter or eighth turn and then doing your roll. Eighth actually, or sixth turn. If you do a full quarter turn, you'll end up with a square. So I'm just going to flip this, see how it's doing. It's getting there nicely. I did not get a very perfect circle, but that is what the dough looks like. It's fairly thin. Over here we have a frying pan that's been heating for a bit, so to check if it's good, we drop a bit of water on it, and if it sizzles, it's ready. There is no oil in the pan. It's a dry fry, for lack of a better term. Chapatis are a traditional Indian bread. They're completely unleavened, and there are actually quite a few different cultures that have unleavened bread. But the Indian ones are rather interesting, as the chapatis themselves were used as messengers of sedition. At the time of the Indian Mutiny, under the British rule, there were chapatis sent around to the various sepoy encampments to tell them to be ready to move. As chapatis are a traditional travel bread, and also a traditional normal bread, it wasn't noticed by the British that it was a message of sedition. So after cooking for a bit, we flip it, and there's starting to be a few bubbles on the chapati, and it is starting to bubble nicely, it looks like. You might also notice that the top of this section, now that's cooked a little bit, is lighter in color than it was earlier. I've increased the heat a little bit on the frying pan, but if you get it too hot, it will burn before it actually starts rising. And it's the air bubbles in the chapatis that make it a lighter bread without the yeast. I'm pushing on the chapati to try and get it to form a larger air bubble. Sometimes if the pan is the right temperature, it can get so it forms a complete puff over the whole chapati, which makes it absolutely delicious. Most of the time I can only get small bubbles though. But they still make it delicious because they lighten the chapati. Most of the time on the chapati only one side will puff for you. It'll only puff when it's on a particular side. The other side doesn't have the same heat conductivity or something, so that when you flip it, it doesn't actually puff more on that side, it just stays the same. Looks like that one's complete. Yummy. Putting the chapati in the towel helps it to stay supple when you're not actively using it. And it also helps so that it doesn't dry out while you're still cooking. So it looks like this chapati decided to puff up a bit quite nicely. Let's see if we can get the other side to puff a bit as well. Yep, so it looks like that was a half puff chapati. Quite a nice looking one too. This is the last chapati.
How are you going to use the chapatis?
Well, they work very well as tortillas for things like tacos, quesadillas. I've never tried them in enchiladas, but I'm sure they would work in that as well. Personally, I like them for breakfast in the morning with peanut butter and butter, and sometimes adding melted chocolate chips in that. Yum. Basically, any way you can use a tortilla, you can use a chapati. They're slightly smaller, so you're not getting quite as many carbs with them. And they're even better than store-bought tortillas because you make them yourself. Last chapati is completed. The end result is a very nice stack of chapatis.